first of all, I want to thank the community and thank everybody. And I will tell you, hearing the alma mater and being back in the school, it almost brings me to tears. This is not I couldn't find my tea coat. I actually hid it, put it in a special place just for this ceremony. And when I left St. Louis, I couldn't find it. So one of my friends who's in the band with me actually let me borrow her coat. And I put this nice little T over her name. So my name is Karen, not Eileen. Her name is actually Eileen. But again, I am thrilled and honored to receive this award. Being here at Tonawanda High School meant so much to me. My friends are here, and hopefully they know every bad thing about me, and they still love me. So hopefully they don't make any comments tonight about all the bad things I did when I was here, because that was wonderful. Thank you for putting that together and speaking about all the good things. But from the classes to the teachers to the sports to the band to the activities to all those things, really helped mold and shape who I am. I tell people, I live in St. Louis, and I tell people the story about Tonawanda and the school, and how we're our own little community, and everybody's close, that we're still close-knit. I mean, my parents' friends are here. My parents are both deceased, but my parents' friends are here. I call them aunt and uncle. They're not my aunt and uncle, but they met my family. They met my parents here when they were in high school. My friends are here. I met them when I was in high school. I still talk to some of my teachers, and it's like we never missed a day. It's really something special, and I feel very honored and lucky that I was able to come here and be a part of it, and be part of Tonawanda. But I think overall, this is about support, right? If you don't have support systems in your life, you're not going to be successful. And I was lucky enough to have support systems. My parents were amazing. Warren and Lily Brock, absolutely amazing. When I had an idea, I wanted to do something, I'm like, Mom, Dad, I want to do this. Can I do this? And they would be like, oh yeah, sure. So the Tonawanda News, and you mentioned the Tonawanda News, I used to sit at home starting when I was probably 8 years old, and I would watch a sports, something on TV, like whether it be the Buffalo Bills, go Bills, I'm a huge fan still, the Buffalo Sabres, or whatever it was, and I would write a story about the game. And when I was 14 years old, I remember going to my parents and saying, I read that article in the Tonawanda News, and I really like to start writing for the Tonawanda News. And my mother was like, okay, yeah, sure. And my father said, well, maybe we should talk to the Tonawanda News. So we got an appointment with the sports editor at the Tonawanda News. And there was a football game that night here. And I wanted to cover the football game. And we went in and we talked to him. And at first I thought he was patronizing me. So, I kind of went along with it. But And I had that spirit, right? I already had that, I can do anything type attitude, even when I was 14 years old. And so, he said, listen, I already have somebody covering this game, but you're welcome to, write something. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'm gonna write something, we'll have him write something, and I'm gonna turn mine in. And if my article appears in the paper in the morning, can I have a job? And he stood up and shook my hands. So that morning, I was, Mom, Dad, come on, we got to see this, and sure enough, my article was in the newspaper. And I got that job. So I became like a stringer for the Tonawanda News. Greatest thing ever. I always wanted to be a journalist, and kind of like your veterinary story. I always wanted to be a journalist, and so I was able to do that. So, not only but then I became a soccer referee and a hockey referee at the same time. So not only were my parents driving me around to sporting events that I was going to cover, but now they're driving me around to my soccer events and my hockey events that I was going to cover as well. So, when Principal Tadero called me and said that I had won this award, I was a little bit shocked because I had forgotten about it. My father mentioned it to me years ago, and but she explained to me that before my dad died, he had been writing in and saying that I deserve this award. And then after my dad passed away, my mom continued to write in and say, my daughter deserves this award. So I feel like this award, and this makes me cry, but I feel like this award is about them. It's about our whole family. Yeah, that smile on my face is going away. But anyway, because I was brought up to believe that I could do anything, that the world was mine. I could do anything I wanted to do, and failure was not an option. They taught me how to turn failure into an opportunity. And that's something that I teach people now. We're not born here. Everybody's born here. And it really depends on how you accept failure and what you do next will dictate what happens next. And that's something my parents taught me. They also taught me to be myself and embrace who I am. And as you heard in the nice little write-up that, that you spoke about me, I really took that words to heart. And I really embraced that. I was the first one to do this, and trust me, the first time I ever stepped on a soccer field, somebody from the stand yelled, "Go home and make cookies." And I thought to myself, my God, I don't even know how to turn the oven on. What are we doing cookies? Not for me. But you know, that perception was turned, and I fought through that. And I fought through that, the thing that I was different, that just because, you know, people thought because I had a ponytail and a sports bra that I wasn't good enough. But I fought through that, and I made those waves. I made those things happen. And with my mental performance stuff, my coaching and training and trying to get athletes to teams, it's my give back. It's what I got. And so it balanced my practical experience with all my academic training. And I want to say a couple more things, but one of the biggest lessons I've learned is to use the tools in my toolbox. Not in your toolbox or your toolbox or your toolbox, but use the tools in my toolbox. And embrace the diversity, embrace who I am. And my parents taught me that, and the school actually taught me that. Like literally, my friends can attest to that. I really walk a little different path, but it's made me successful, and I really embrace who I am. I would also like to thank God for being with me on this journey. My faith has really led me through some tough things, especially in the last couple years. But I want to accept this word on behalf of my parents. They love me very much. And my last thing is, I always say that from a Fleetwood Mac song, this one's for you, Mom and Dad. Love you, and thank you.